This is a Talk2Jack podcast with UnkuJack, exploring topics on heart, mind, soul, and the human experience. Let's talk. Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of the Talk2Jack podcast. I'm your host, UnkuJack, and I'm here with another episode. Having a talk today. This is going to be a short one, and a little bit weird. I don't know why all my topics in this season are weird, kind of out of left field, but maybe that's because that's where I've been a little bit in my head, just out of left field. Things are coming to me from the weirdest of places, and that's one of the things that I'm grateful for, is that the way I see the world is unique, in that I take inspiration from the things that happen around me every day in nature, and I'm constantly taking inspiration from those things. I see the wind hitting a tree in a particular way, and that just inspires me in some way. And I see people talking and holding hands, and or walking down the street side by side, and I can see them in sync, and how their steps are in sync, and how they move in sync, and you can just see connections between people and the world around them. And that really is where I draw a lot of my inspiration from, is by being observant about the things happening around me in the world, and learning from them every day. And I was thinking about something along those lines. I write a lot. I write a lot for work, and I also write a lot in my personal space. I'm a creative as well, so poetry, prose, songs, music, whatever. And one of my favorite tools to use when I write is a comma. Grammatical tools is a comma, and I wondered about that recently. Why is the comma something that I use? Why do I like that pause so much? That it's not a full pause, it's not a long pause, it's just that little hesitation. And I don't know, I was thinking about that recently, about those moments of pause in between statements or sentences, those moments of pause in between things that happen in our lives, especially if you're an emotional person, right? Which I experience emotions a lot. I feel emotions. I feed off emotional energy. I sense emotions in people very strongly. My EQ is quite high. I don't exactly experience emotions in the very same way, but I'm very sensitive to people's emotions. And I've observed a lot of people, and I've coached quite a few people who are very emotional people. And what tends to happen is that very emotional people tend to go through these roller coaster rides of highs and lows. So for no reason, seemingly, you wake up on the right side of the bed, the sky is the limit. You are up there. You are excited. You are animated. The whole world is bright and beautiful. It's sunshine, rainbows, and unicorns. And that's amazing. And then you have these lows where you stub your toe or nothing even happens, really. You just wake up feeling weird, and all of a sudden it's depression. It's the world is ending. It's I can't feel my face when I'm with you. No, I'm just kidding. But all of a sudden it's so bad. It's just high, low, and people around you are watching this, and then they're walking on eggshells because they don't know how they're supposed to react to you. Is it a high day? Is it a low day? Do I engage? Do I not engage? Do I speak up to try to help you when you're low? Do I just join in the fun when you're high? And if you're high, if I'm joining you when you're high, will I trigger that high to turn into a low? Or, what do I do? And it can be very difficult to navigate around people who are on this emotional roller coaster. Not a good thing, not a bad thing. It's neither here nor there. It is what it is, right? But I come back again to those moments of pause, that comma, and how important those moments are, because those commas, those moments are potential transition periods. There are those moments when we transition between high and low. There are those moments in between our highs and our lows, or our highs and our other highs, or our lows and our other lows. that comma is that space. It's that point of decision making. It's that point where if we can manage to stretch it out long enough, we can ease our transition. We can taper off. We can make decisions that maybe even alter the direction that we're heading in. And so being high is nice and good. Being low is nice and good. Being aware of your highs and being aware of your lows are good. But that comma, that trigger, that thing, and the comma does kind of look like a trigger. That comma, that trigger, that space in the middle between moments, between experiences, between highs and lows, that moment, that comma, that space is critical, because that is the point where if you're sensitive enough, if you're aware enough, if you're thinking enough, if you're conscious of it, you can change the trajectory of a bad day. You can change a mood. You can alter a perception. You can shift a response. You can decide not to blow up. You can decide not to fall low. You can decide to maintain a high, because you've created space for yourself to think, to be conscious of what you're doing, to be conscious of what is triggering you in that moment, to be conscious of what is happening within you, around you, and most importantly, to think of what you want to do next, how you want to be next, how you want to react next. And that is so critical. And it boils down to one thing and one thing only. That's being self-conscious, being aware of yourself, being aware of where you are, knowing, understanding those transitions, understanding those flows in your life, where you can be high, where you can be low, and just understanding that if something is happening to me, there's going to be a reaction. I don't need to react blindly. I can take a moment. I can take a pause. I can take a beat and determine to some extent how that flow is going to go, how that ebb is going to go. And that can be critical for us as people when we fine-tune those commas in our lives, those moments when we learn to recognize them and maximize them. So for me, in the past couple of years, I've taken up meditation more, and I've taken up breathing exercises more. And what that does is, in the moment I realize that I'm in a moment, I'm in a comma, the moment I realize that all of a sudden it's a stressful day, there's a lot going on, there's a lot coming at you, and you realize that you're transitioning from that high energy point to that point where you might start to snap, or you might start to become frustrated or upset or a little discombobulated. I take a beat. I just take a moment to myself. It doesn't have to be long. I will take my mala beats, and I'll just, count with a breath for each beat, and just take 4 minutes and just do nothing but breathe. And taking that pause resets me. It resets my mood. It resets those moments. I don't feel as flustered. I don't feel as worked up. I don't feel like there's a weight. It kind of releases. And it just kind of calms everything down, and then I can just kind of ease back into the flow. And that works for me. Also, words of affirmation within those moments. Occasionally, sometimes instead of just breathing, I will do words of affirmation for a minute or two and just remind myself I'm in control, I'm okay, I'm centered, everything's fine, you're okay. Just take a moment. See those moments, those commas, those pauses. They're so good. They're so critical to control those transition periods between your highs and your lows. And I know it sounds a little weird. We went from commas to breathing to all kinds of things, but trust me, if you listen to this again, you'll find meaning in it. If you just take that one lesson, this one thing that I've just told you, just taking a minute to just breathe. Deep breath in and out. 20 times, 30 times, 40 times, I don't know. Just take a minute and just do that. It makes a huge, huge, huge difference. Anyway, I hope you found that interesting, and I hope you find it helpful. If you do, please send us a message, send us a comment, send us a DM. We'd love to hear from you. Our website is jackandi, that's JACKANDI.com, and our social media handles are UnkuJack, that's UnkuJack. I look forward to hearing from you. Stay safe, be good, remember to breathe, and as always, be inspired. This has been the Talk to Jack podcast with Uncle Jack. Tune in next time for another episode.